there. This is Rochelle Morgan from Tri-County Mental Health and Show Me Hope. I'm here today with Christine Barr, who's a licensed clinical social worker with Tri-County. And we're here today especially to support expectant parents and parents of newborns to get through this pandemic. Pandemic is challenging for everybody, but there are some unique struggles or some unique situations to deal with if you are expecting a baby or if you have just had a baby. So, Christine, can you outline some of those specific concerns that people might be dealing with?
I think there is a variety of different concerns, but just to pinpoint some of the things that seem to be relevant and reoccurring and verbalized by some of the people that I work with, I would say that the service delivery has changed pretty considerably since the pandemic. Prenatal care looks a little bit differently, and so does delivery. And so maybe what once was we were allowed 3 people in the delivery room with us, multiple support people, for example, it has been reduced to 1. The way that we're receiving our prenatal care is changed in the sense that maybe you're having less visits or some of those visits are virtual. I think that it's difficult if you are in the middle of your pregnancy, say you were to find out that there was a reason for your pregnancy to be high risk. I think it's really difficult to have some of these conversations, whether it's a heavy conversation like there's some concerns for growth and development, or maybe something more heavy than that, or even just the joy of congratulations, it's your first pregnancy, we're so happy for you. It's all so hard when it's behind this. And so I'm smiling really big right now, but you wouldn't know. Or I'm frowning big time right now, and I'm really sad, and I'm walking in this moment with you, but you wouldn't know. So much communication is done non-verbally, and it's challenging that is stifled, that expression is stifled by a mask. I call it compassion behind the mask. It's difficult to go through your prenatal experience not having kind of the comfort of another human response, especially at some of those appointments you need to be without your support person or without a support person, multiple support people. You do look to your care provider as a source of trust. So you look to them for walking on that really important, significant journey of your pregnancy hand in hand with you. So it's those gestures that maybe we took for granted even at one point. So I think that is definitely a specific struggle. And I think not just in prenatal care, but across the board, just not being able to read somebody's emotion or know when you walk past somebody on the sidewalk if they're smiling back at you. Mm-hmm. I think too that navigating the system and resources right now is a specific struggle because so many resources have slowed and changed. I think that many people have reduced hours or staff, and what they were able to offer is a little bit different now. And that can be a little bit frustrating because some individuals maybe have a very set schedule and only have so many hours in which they can make calls to get resources and make connections and network for the things that they need. For example, like a breast pump, they can only call within a certain time frame, but perhaps that office is closed and unavailable during those hours. So I think that creates a little bit of frustration, and it's a specific struggle. And in my time at the Clay County Health Department and working at that particular office, we had a representative from Medicaid come, and she came every Thursday, and she would help our moms apply for Medicaid for their pregnancy and food stamps and other things like that. And her presence has now been pulled from the office, specific to what's going on with the pandemic. And so just not having that physical presence there, again, that reduced availability, all the systems have just kind of slowed down. So even a Medicaid application, when you're trying to get health care for your pregnancy, some of those applications are behind and the process is all just a little bit slowed down because not as many people are in the office. And that's a really big frustration because every moment of your pregnancy, there's, I think, some level of curiosity. How's my baby doing? How big is my baby? Is my baby growing right? Is everything going okay? Or is my baby healthy? And so there's just those normal things that we might be concerned about or want to know, be curious about, that we can't get the answers to as quickly because everything is just kind of slowed because of the pandemic. I think too, a specific struggle would be just grieving the loss of a normal pregnancy. Like I said, if you've had, other pregnancies before, I think you have an idea in your mind of what that looks like. So I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And you're laying out the plans and you're getting ready for your gender reveal party and all the people are going to be there and you're going to have cute little cupcakes. And then the planning of your baby shower. I'm going to have all these people. I'm going to be surrounded by loved ones. I'm going to get great outfits, like whatever that looks like for you, just celebrating this really wonderful, joyous thing, this life that's about to just rock your world, and having the people that you love and care about the most celebrate that with you. Just the need for that, and how changed that is right now. And I know a lot of people are really adapting and doing some cool things like drive-by baby showers or diaper parties and virtual baby showers and things like that. So certainly it's not something we can't cope with, but it is something that I think there is a space to be held there, to grieve the fact that it wasn't the same as it was. And it's also maybe not the way you would like it to be. And I think it's okay to lean into that a little bit and feel the way that you feel about that, because it is changed, it is different, and that wasn't your choice, and that can be difficult to accept. I think that there's also the added just general fear and specific struggle of whatever we were struggling with prior to this being amplified. I've spoken about that a little bit, but I think that some of the things that we might be additionally worried about in this time would be a family member becoming ill. So if mom is in a home and she's got maybe her mom living with her partner living with her, and their two other kids, and one or two of them were to get the virus and get ill, and she'd be in the home with them, not maybe being able to physically touch them or be in close proximity to them to protect herself in her pregnancy, and the maybe shame or guilt that she might experience because of that, and just all the things that come with that, which is so complicated. I think too, fear of unemployment, or maybe mom got pregnant, it wasn't a planned pregnancy, and she was already unemployed, and so that adds on to the stress of I feel like, well, I'm not financially prepared for this. I'm really concerned because I have no income, or my income is very limited right now, and I don't know what that's going to look like now that I'm pregnant, because pregnancy does restrict some of the work they are able to do. And sometimes women experience a lot of different complications, mental health and physical health complications in pregnancy that can impact their work, their ability to work. I think too, that there is the social isolation, which I know a lot of us are really struggling with right now, pregnant or not. And interestingly, I think in pregnancy, it's a time where you've got this life growing inside of you, but you can feel more alone than you've ever felt. And sometimes that's the mental health piece speaking. So just feeling a little bit more cut off when you're already maybe feeling a little bit more cut off because you're reducing the level of activity you were able to have prior to your pregnancy, for example. I don't know, maybe rock climbing was your thing before you got pregnant, and you're maybe you're not able to do that as much. I mean, it's just kind of compounding factors. Like I said, I think too, just the obvious component of mental health. I know there's a lot of mental health awareness right now. Suicide rates have gone up. We're seeing a lot of increased symptoms. It's twofold. We're seeing symptoms that already were pre-existing become worsened by some of the dynamics of COVID. And then two, we are seeing symptoms develop for the first time ever. And we know that women are at risk for things like perinatal mood and anxiety disorder, peripartum depression, postpartum depression. These are mental health complications that are not uncommon. And so that already being there on top of, again, the stressors related to the pandemic and the increased isolation, feeling down, sad, hopeless. When is this going to get better? When is this going to change? I'm anxious. I'm worried. I'm scared. I'm not sleeping well. Insomnia. There are all these things that are going on, these negative mental health symptoms that we can experience because of this. And then you put on top of it some of the possible pregnancy mental health concerns that could be there as well. And two, again, you add on pre-existing mental health. So if you were an individual that was diagnosed with a mental health condition prior to this, again, we sometimes see that these symptoms do worsen a little bit because of these environmental stressors, these things that are going on around us that we don't have control of. And lastly, I would say coping skill utilization. So often we are kind of trying to re-envision, reimagine, reevaluate our coping skills. And coping skills are so important just for all of us in general, but in pregnancy, that doesn't make us any less exempt from the need or the importance of using them. And so perhaps your coping skill before this was going to the gym. That has looked very different in the past several months. Gyms have been closed down for a period of time, and now gyms that are back open, there's restrictions there that may be uncomfortable. It might be difficult to be on an elliptical at 7 months pregnant with a mask. So some of these have changed for us. Additionally, things like eating healthy foods. Something is just normal as this, and that is it's a coping skill to eat a healthy food. And so perhaps you're in a position right now financially because of some of the effects of the pandemic where access to healthier foods is more difficult for you. Rest is a really important one, and some women are just, and men and everybody, they're having a hard time shutting down and experiencing some of that insomnia or wanting to sleep too much to kind of cope with it. So there are a number of, I think, things that, again, people are adapting, right? We're doing virtual workouts now. We're doing all kinds of different things. But the point is, it's changed. It's changed for us. And it is a specific struggle because the way that we coped prior to this is now different. So there are struggles, the things that were already there, the things that are here now because of the pregnancy, and then postpartum too, the postpartum struggles. There's no shortage of struggles, I think.
That's true. And I think that's true for any of us dealing with the pandemic, but thank you for identifying some of those specific concerns, especially for that prenatal and postnatal period for parents and moms especially. It's always helpful for us to hear that we're not alone in this, and that the things that you're struggling with, there's probably other people having similar struggles. So I hope that you feel a little bit less alone by hearing about some of these things that Christine was talking about. Now, if you are experiencing stress because of the disaster, like we all are, if you feel like you need some more help, Show Me Hope is here for you. We have a disaster distress hotline that you can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's free, it's confidential. You can get immediate access to a crisis counselor who can help you figure out ways to cope with this pandemic, how to deal with the stress that you're experiencing, and how to access some more mental health services if you need more of that. So the number is below this video in the description box, and it's also going to be on a slide at the end of the video. So just give us a call, send us a text, and we're here to help. We're right here. So thank you again to Christine for sharing your expertise out of your many years of experience in prenatal and postnatal mental health. And we will be back in another video with some tips, especially for that prenatal period and for that postnatal period for moms and new parents. So we'll see you there.